Hello, everybody. Welcome to Market Moves. I'm Jason, the Wizard of Ops, and Jay Dark Matter, I think, is sleeping. I don't know where he is. maybe he'll show up pretty soon. I'm not quite sure. I do have his weekly analysis. I can go over it, but yeah, that's why we're a little late, because we're trying to give Jay some time. I do know he was awake last night, or I guess you could say early this morning. But anyway, y'all are stuck with me. So this is a wizard soliloquy for you today. I'll go over how I see the market, and then I will go into what Dark Matter has on his trade planning, okay? Because he did post something last night about it. So I did want to, I can very easily, read what he wrote and talk about that. So first thing though, I'll just go into my comfort zone about what I am seeing. So this is like my Vanna dashboard, by the way. Some of these are, these are like all exposure charts and stuff. Some of them are things that'll come back very soon. But anyway, I am looking now at what I have for my exposure charts. It is still quite bearish, but I think, as I said in the Substack this morning, right here, late last week, we were looking at -5 to 6 billion, like over 5 billion here on this side of the tail. And now we're looking at -2.7. So there was a significant cut there, I think, because of puts bought in this region, right? If we have some puts bought right here, we had some puts bought in this area. And all of a sudden, you saw the market kind of swing up. And this was on Friday, right? This is Friday. It happened a lot quicker than usually does, and how, a lot quicker really than I can react. But I've kind of flattened out when the market was maybe 0.8% down or so. I think we went as down as far as like 1.25, 1.3%. I remember the bottom was around like 67.33 or something like that. But when you have this kind of raise in aggregate Vanna, that can easily create a reversal. And usually it takes like a day or so, but especially in over VIX times, like we were over VIXed pretty hard over the whole week. Like it was like 1 point of over VIXing every single day. I think on Thursday, we got close to 2 points, which would have been a vol event, but we didn't see that. So it came close, though. And so we currently don't have a vol event, but this bounce should be similar. Over here in this section right here, this is all negative gamma, okay? And as you know, we're negative gamma around 6,700. Here, let me get out gamma here. We are... Here, we are negative gamma down to basically 6,700. Now, we did get a little extra short calls, actually, like around here. 6,700 was an area that, or 66. Yeah, 6,700 was an area that I thought we could see some slowing coming down. And we crossed that, crossed that on Friday and bounced out, right? Here, 6650 is another strong spot, and 6600. These are short puts for customers and long puts for dealers. That's kind of a weird spot, right? These are all those premium selling programs, like in there's a lot of Canadian pension funds that do that. There's a lot of vol funds that just sell premium, and we were hitting them a little bit on Friday. 6,700 is like the beginning of this strong positive gamma, and it just gets stronger positive as you go down. We bounced out of that zone, and now we're looking at this negative gamma area right here. that I could see a total bounce, maybe even today, considering how fast we bounced on Friday. We could even see a rise up to the 6,800 area. That would be quite a bounce, right? It would be like what, 100 something points. I guess it would be 60 extra points. It'll be about 120 points, right? Yeah, so I mean, this is an area that we can bounce strongly to. And if we continue and we get past the 68.15, 68.20 area, that's where I could see this is a little bit of short calls on customer side. I think if we get past this area right here and we pass 68.40, we're in a breakout zone. We can even retest all-time highs, I think, on a swing basis, not today. So that area would be, we could, if we could get to 6,900 and pass it, especially 69.25, 69.50 area is strong. That might be a next week thing. It could even be a this week thing. I mean, we have 2 weeks left until OPEX. This week is, a time where we could see like a very strong push to the upside. We just have to pass this area right here. And that's the time where you might want to start getting bullish, like 68.50, start leaning into long gamma bullish moves. Until then, though, you still got, 60 points now that we can bounce. However, while that's true, on a more medium-term basis, that would be about 3 to 6 weeks, particularly into November OPEX. If we do get into this zone, okay, if we do get over here, it would be a rip to sell. We are still very strongly negative Vanna going into OPEX, okay? And that's the one thing, that's the one concern that I would have going there. This is the December timeframe. I know this first date is a little bit off, but this is the December monthly as well. This is something else to pay attention to, because we don't have as much downturn over here in calls. These are bought calls starting here in 7,100 up to 72.75. There's not much over here though. So there's kind of like it won't be like a breakout if we get up there in December, but we're still strongly negative Vanna. And that is true in the December timeframe and in the November OPEX timeframe. So no matter what, if we get these bounces, these negative gamma bounces, that could bring us to all-time highs. And it's really timing that top is going to be much more tough. These are rips to sell because we are negative Vanna and negative gamma. And if you even get past this area right here, at the 6,900 area to try to get to all-time highs, this is working on a very negative gamma area. All you need is one person to sell, and we're going to rip right back down, okay? Ranges are getting wider as time goes on. And if we do get up here too, implied volatility is going to come down. So it's going to give you an opportunity to go long gamma bearish. A rip to sell typically is, as an option trader, a rip to sell is always a great proposition, because long gamma verticals are a positive gamma trade and they are bearish delta, right? Negative delta trade. And all those things work together if you are correct that there is a rip to sell. So that's what I would be doing. Right now, currently, as I stated in my Substack, I'm flat. I have no positions on. I am in cash position right now. And that's because we can either dip down here or we can go, we could dip either way, right? There's a wide range right now. The aggregate, like if I were to go a long-term trade, 3, 4, 5 months in the future, I'd be bearish. However, right now I'm completely flat. I will take my bearish kind of, I'm going to wait until I see a change in the option structure to signify a top. So that's kind of where I'm sitting. Of course, I'm sitting in a swing chair. Jay, Dark Matter, likes to talk about his futures trading plan. So I can't, honestly, I stink at Discord, and I do not know how to like take out my current servers that I'm in. So I will talk though about Dark Matter's trade planning, kind of narrating it. So he sees resistance. I guess these are more his volume analysis. He sees resistance at 68.58. That kind of follows with what I just said about this little gamma zone. So if he goes over here, we go to this gamma zone, 68.58. Where is that? That's a little bit above here in this gamma zone, right? 68.50 is right here, but I would kind of see it, right around here. That kind of corresponds, right? That's what he sees as resistance. If we pass that, I think we break out. According to him, he doesn't think we will necessarily. He says that's the first major supply shelf. That's volume terminology. I'm not as good at volume stuff as I am about dealer stuff, but his point of control area is 67.72. He thinks that's that in my view, that's a very negative gamma area. I think we could blow through that pretty easily. His support is 66.55. So I haven't really discussed much about downside right now. 66.55 would be this second pillar over here of positive gamma. I think 6,700, which we have kind of cut through a little bit and then come back. I do think 6,700 is a kind of a tough to pass area, but it's definitely achievable. I mean, there's so many positive gamma areas underneath, and Vanna is so far negative that 6,700 could easily be passed, even though it seems like a very tall tower. 66.55, I also think can be passed if we decide to go in that direction. But there apparently, I guess, is a very big volume node there. So I am not, so I mean, I guess that's something to watch out for, which I agree with. 66.50 can be pretty strong. So he sees momentum stalling after 5-week advance, still above the rising 10-week EMA. Ugh. I don't like moving averages, by the way. I think they're random. But anyway. So macro uptrend intact, but momentum fading. I do kind of agree that the uptrend is intact. I also think that if we were to get out of the shutdown, if I'm to go a little bit more macro oriented, if we're to get out of a shutdown, I think the initial reaction is, hooray, we can travel again, right? Like we can, and that may take us past that 80, that 68.50 area, and get into that like 6,900 positive negative gamma area. But I still think that's a rip to sell, because once you get the government open, all these data points, the economic releases, the jobs report, the inflation reports, all those things, right? Durable goods, etc. They all are reports that start to come out, and they are now going to be encompassing 2 to 3 months of data. All the kind of private releases have been bearish on the economy. They've shown plummeting jobs. They've shown, inflation that is still resilient and high. So the economy, and also the consumer sentiment levels, which is still coming out, has been in the ditch. I mean, they've been down all the way near COVID lows. So from a macro standpoint, I think that when the government reopens and these data points start coming out, implied volatility is going to go up, and implied volatility is going to cause a downturn in the markets. So I think that government reopening may be kind of signaling where the top will be. And if we can get through the 68.50 area, I think that's kind of an area that we can get through, right there. That's kind of a top would be the government reopening, give it a day or two, and then sell. Yeah, so I mean, I'm reading through what Jay had. Yeah, he sees the range at 68.58 and 66.55. His all right, so his top-down synthesis, I can really quickly share this. But let's see, presenter invite. I will. Yeah, I'm sorry for the dead time, but I can't share it right now. Okay, sorry. So he's seeing it as his weekly. He's still seeing a corrective kind of thing. His key levels again 68.58, 66.55. His daily, he sees a top as 67.85. So his range is kind of bearish, right? Even on like the 4-hour area, he's still seeing 67.85 as a top, which I don't necessarily see, but I mean, this is a volume node, so kind of makes sense. I would see more toward that 6,800 area as a strong resistance. But he still sees it as bearish. On the 4-hour time frame, he thinks we can still drop to 6,700. And kind of on the 30-minute, he sees range bound. Okay. Let's see. So we are looking also at his catalysts, and again, catalysts are questionable. Will they actually happen? If the data is released on the core inflation and all the inflation stuff on Thursday, they're going to have like a 1-month time frame, but you have another month back. So we don't know. We don't know if we're kind of seeing persistent inflation, not really rising prices, but persistent. And PPI comes out on Friday as well. That I think we can start seeing some spikes. We started seeing spikes before the government shut down in PPI because of tariffs on raw materials. But it takes some time for stuff like tariffs to come through the market. And as much as Trump loves tariffs, I think it will be. I think they are damaging to the economy. I mean, it's unequivocally, especially inflationary. The tariffs before the Great Depression, similar impact. And it took a little while. It takes a little while for the stuff to get through the economy. There's inventories to burn through. And, no company wants to be the first one to raise prices. Then you lose market share. Market share is more important than short-term losses. So that's kind of what I see. And from a macro standpoint, I'm looking at at the earnings that are coming up. It looks like there's Cisco, Walt Disney on Thursday before the opening. Maybe I should, maybe I'll do a paid Substack for that one. But all the other ones, they're kind of, mid-level, Beyond Meat. Everybody's into Beyond Meat. I guess, what did they just avoid bankruptcy or something? I know they had a deal with Walmart. I guess it's a small stock that everybody knows the name. So everybody, becomes kind of like a meme. But yeah, I think Disney is a big one to kind of see what the entertainment sphere is like. Yeah, so I mean that's all what if there's anything that I missed in Dark Matter's trade plan that you'd like to see, first of all, the trade plan is always available in our Discord for subscribers. If you subscribe, you could very easily see his trade plan under the Dark Matter Trade channel. He's the only one allowed to post there. So yeah, come on in and check that out. Okay, so I will go through some of these requests first. I've only got one request here from Podcaster, and then I would like to talk about Wednesday. So, first, Podcaster says, please analysis Meta and Microsoft. All right, let's see what we got. So these are all their earnings are already done. So this is going to be kind of just like a look at what they have. TTD, that was a somebody requested that. How did that earnings come out? Was it anything? I don't even remember. All right. We'll do Microsoft first because it's on the list, third in the list. Yeah, you see. So I can tell you right now, Microsoft and Meta are going to look very similar. The levels are obviously different. But Microsoft and Meta looked, pretty much all stocks looked very similar. A lot of people are beginning to, right here, you got a lot of negative banana above, which is people are buying calls. We got a lot of positive banana below, which is people are buying puts. So right now, dealers are holding essentially a short gamma straddle, right, or strangle, or however you want to term it, right? So I think that a lot of these can be range bound. A lot of these stocks, it could make a strong run, but a lot of them can be range bound. Let's take a look at Microsoft. This is put gamma and this is call gamma. See how the gamma is negative all the way across. I mean, right here, there's sold calls at 515, but all across here, negative gamma, negative gamma, negative gamma. As such, I think for Microsoft, they'll probably are going to want to get to that 515 area. If it goes above 515, I think that this area right here can be, go on the all expiration here. If we get above this area, which is a lot of sold calls, we could see some, you could almost say it's like kind of resistance, right? But it's going to be very wild. Whether you go up or down, the moves are going to probably be sharper than what Microsoft, what the straddle is implying. I'm actually going to take a look at what the weekly straddle is implying in Microsoft. I'll do it here on my phone so that, I'm not going off of Volland, but the, let's see. So Microsoft's is at 500 right now, barely moving. Its 1 week range is 12 points, 13 points. I think that could be a little low, especially going into November 21st. November 21st is 20-point range. This is 15 points right here. And I think that if we get up there, I think that we can see a little bit of resistance. But if we pass that, it's going to break out to the upside. And I think that it could pass that if the government reopens or something like that. Overall, Microsoft is strongly negative gamma, right? We saw that before here and here. Because of that, I think that we can move more than 20 points into, until 2 weeks, the option expiration. So that's my thought on Microsoft is go long gamma. If you have an idea of plus or minus, go long gamma on it. And I think you might exceed your price targets. Let's check out Meta real quick. Yeah, Meta, very similar. Yeah, this is actually even almost more negative gamma. It appears that there's a lot of bought calls above, not a lot of bought puts below, but they're still there. They're still bought puts. Yeah, I think that, again, it's probably a strong whipsaw. Let me see what the expected move is on Meta. So it's kind of funny. This is very indicative of what I mean. The 1 week expected move on Meta is 25 points. in the overnight on Monday morning, we are looking at a 10-point move. That's already half of the expected move. We're in a negative gamma environment. So implied volatility is not going to be as high as it should, right? Meta is also kind of like a strange, it had some downside after its earnings and it's kind of bouncing a little bit, as it probably should. A lot of times these earning scares and earning optimism can be overstated. So that's kind of my meta analysis, as well as my Microsoft analysis, that these ranges are going to be too small. Like that, go long gamma calls and puts. The range into November 21st is 36 points. 36 points. I don't think that's not much. It's 5%. And, in Meta, you get 5% in a day, right? So I would go long gamma in both Microsoft and Meta. If you have a strong conviction as to whether it's bullish or bearish, take it, right? So, all right. Okay, risk versus any comment on zero DTE charm? I can give you a quick comment on zero DTE charm. Sure. I mean, my first comment is I don't usually trust it pre-market because when I think about pre-charm, this is all expiration charm. I can edit real quick. When I think about pre-market charm, a lot of times, like it's, as soon as the market opens, you get like a flood of options. So although apparently over this weekend, there was a flood of options in the overnight. So we noticed like a lot of traffic coming in in the overnight. So, all right. So here's the zero DTE charm. The downside looks a little messy. The upside here looks quite bearish. If we do pop here to the 6770 range, and maybe, that 6770 range, that's probably what dark matter is seeing. It's probably this zero DTE charm. Now we know, right? Now it makes sense. So this would be kind of like a line in the sand on a bearish move. But over here on the upside, though, these are bought puts. These are sold puts. So I guess there's like a little condor kind of thing going on. So downside is spotty, but upside is decidedly kind of bearish. So now we see that that resistance area that dark matter was seeing. So here it is, 6700, 6780. That's probably a decent resistance for the day. I think we can continue up on a swing basis, but that looks like that's what we're gonna get. So all right. Let me see what else I got. Hey Jason, are you involved with Aston Options providing copy trading? No. I am a registered investment advisor and I am a hedge fund manager. I do not give you the actual trades. And I would not trust people who do. And let me tell you why. Because they are not concerning you as an individual trader. If someone is giving you, hey, buy Apple today. Number one, they are front running you. They buy Apple, then they tell you to buy Apple. Number two, they are not considering your financial goals or your trading style or what you like to do. You need to find your comfort zone, your risk tolerance, and your tool of choice. Then you can make your own trade plans. Please do not copy the trade plans of others because you will eventually fail. Not only are you uncomfortable with what they're doing, that'll create anxiety in you, but that will, they are also taking advantage of you. They're front running you, right? So anybody who does something like, I'm giving you a trade, please copy it, or please do what I tell you. Don't trust that. Okay. Don't trust that. All right. So those are, okay. Yeah. I don't know. So Aston, dark matter is giving you a dark matter is giving you a trade plan, like his ideas of what support and resistance could be. He's not telling you buy ES options. He's not saying do this straddle, do this butterfly. Even when I say something like, butterfly here might be a good idea, that's like me, and I say that's me. I don't tell people to copy me. I don't tell people, I don't give financial advice. There's a lot of people. I don't know Aston options. I don't know who they are. So, if that's not what you're talking about, then I apologize in advance. But I do know there's too many services. Even those guys on CNBC, the brothers, I don't remember their name, but I looked way back when I looked into their option service, just like, what do you guys have? And they're a signal service. They're like, oh, this, we bounced off the 7 EMA and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, buy puts, buy calls, follow us. I'm like, they're not actually doing you a service. They are trying, you can almost say it's training wheels, but we're giving you areas, we're giving you data, we're not giving you trades. Trades are your responsibility, and data is ours. That's how we operate. And if you need help trade planning, there's plenty of people in the Discord, or B, there's services, there's services out there to help you trade plan. Even with me, I do take on mentors. I'm full right now, but I do take on mentors. So that's kind of what the idea is on that. So, all right. Now talking Wednesday. Okay. On Wednesday, we are going to have an all-day kind of like vol hack / Volland marathon. It's called Volland Refined. And what we are going to be doing is Hunter, our hedge fund 0 DTE guy, and I are going to be on all day from 9 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. We're going to be taking the whole market day. We're going to give first an analysis on the day, kind of like our pregame. Hunter and I meet pretty much every morning and do a little pregame. What do you see? What do you see? That kind of thing. And we're going to do that publicly on Wednesday. We're going to follow it up with Oliver Sparring, who is Options Education, Mr. Mark Speck. He'd be a good guy to contact. He gives you education, trying to teach you how to trade plan, stuff like that. He's going to come on and talk about how he uses Volland in his trade planning, because that's how he makes his theses. So he's going to be the first up. The next up is going to be Henry Schwartz of CBOE, and we're going to talk about kind of analyzing the market maker book. What does the market maker do when X, Y, or Z happen? When they're high Vega, when they're low Vega, what do they do? And then we can kind of look and apply that general idea to what Volland is currently seeing. So that's what we're going to be doing for that one. Around noon, we're going to have a little bit of a change up. And that change is going to be, we're going to have Robert Ferdine from Ad Deum Funds on to talk about financial planning in the new year, right? There's a lot of changes, big, beautiful bill, a lot of tax changes. And quite honestly, Volland subs probably have a lot of profits to think about how to manage the taxes with. So I know Kyrios, our hedge fund, does. So Bob is going to be on to talk a little bit about that. Some practical things, even some long-term investment things too. After that, we are going to have volume leaders. We're going to have Bruce on from Volume Leaders. So Bruce is, sorry, Bruce is before Bob. Sorry, my producer, my wife, it's Jill, is telling me that I mixed up the schedule. I'm sitting there going off the top of my head right now. So Bruce from Volume Leaders is going to come on. We're going to talk about the synergies between Volume Leaders, which sees anomalous orders flow in the underlying, and we see the flows from the options. And fairly frequently, we do see areas where, like, my resistance areas kind of presage his his volume leaders thing. So a few Volland subs use volume leaders to validate reversal areas, right? And that's honestly like when the next time I do a trade, like I was just saying, I would probably sell a rip. That rip, the top area, I'm going to use volume leaders to time that. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's at the noon area. And then following that is going to be Robert Ferdine. Following that is going to be Samantha LeDuc. And we're going to go through the new Vol Hacks widgets. They're not up yet, but they'll be up by Wednesday. These are like kind of, Volland does require a little bit of a learning curve. And these are kind of your bridge, right? They are help you with short-term movements in the market, give you kind of support and resistance currently. They give you, are we in a negative gamma? Are we in a volatile time? Are we in a bullish time or bearish time based on Van and Gamma? We're going to do kind of catalyst things. And then, I guess my famous vol event indicator is going to have its own widget showing you, is a vol event happening or is it not, right? So those widgets we're going to explore that. Samantha was the inspiration for it. And so we're going to go through and talk about that. And then we're going to have a panel of all of, dark matter's going to be there. And basically, these are kind of the masterclass of Volland subscribers. They're the edge extractors and the Kyrios traders, Kyrios being the Volland hedge fund. We're going to talk about, basically how Volland changed our lives, right? I mean, I'll be moderating. Obviously, Volland changed my life. I made it. But between the Kyrios traders and the edge extractors, we are going to just talk about that. So, so tune in there too, so that you can, kind of follow, you kind of understand what a Volland sub actually means, right? This isn't just some data service. This is, not only, and it's also a community too. That Discord community is very close knit, and we help each other out a lot. It's a very professional community, and people help each other. It's what's the word? It's a prosperous mindset kind of thing, so yeah. And then, Hunter and I are going to have closing thoughts. We're going to see what happened during the day. We'll talk about the trades that Hunter took, which he will take in real time during the day. And so we'll talk about those trades and see, where, did we win? Did we lose? We don't know, it's live, right? So did we win? Did we lose? Why? What happened? Lessons learned, that kind of thing. So it'd be a bad day for Hunter to blow up our fund, right? So, now that we're getting off of my Wednesday anxieties, now we could talk about I think that it's going to be a great time. I think you should definitely tune in. We'll have the comments on. You can ask questions. And if we have time, we can answer them. And, the lineup is fantastic. We have, we have CBOE in the house, like that's pretty cool. So, and Samantha, who's great following, she's she doesn't trade like I do. She's very macro oriented, but I think this would, she reads, I contribute to her site too. And she, definitely finds value in dealer positioning, real dealer positioning, not, OI Jex stuff. So yeah, that's what we got going on Wednesday. Tune in. I will repeatedly talk about it on X, and yeah. So yeah, earmark it. Instead of playing your music, play our YouTubes, and the recordings obviously will be available on YouTube. Nobody except me apparently and Hunter have from 9 to 4:30 free on their day, but yeah. So tune in. I'm excited about that, and I'll see you then. So may Volland help you in your future trading ventures.